Hi guys, welcome to the state of the world. This is the very first video that I am uploading. Um, Today I wanted to talk about mainly personal story, so my own personal story. However, before I do that, I do just want to kind of get into what this whole channel is going to be about and hopefully what it can be in the future, and hopefully to build some type of career off of this. Um, so before once again getting into the personal story, there is one thing I do want to say, which is that this channel is to mainly not only just to have a voice about the current world, but to also voice my own opinions. So a lot of what I will be saying in the future, or whatever I do end up saying, will pretty much be either in my own opinion or by fact, pretty much, I guess. Um, but besides that, uh, I just want to say thank you for clicking on this video, and hopefully, maybe you can share it, or to whoever is watching. Um, Maybe you can take something from the story, uh, which I hope you can. If not, then whatever. I mean, you don't have to, or maybe you just don't relate, which is fine, but whatever. But anyways, so personal story. Why why do I want to focus on my own personal story right now? Well, of course, to again relate to a couple of people, hopefully, to actually get to have a deeper connection with my potential audience. Um, and so, once again, hopefully, something can be taken out of this. But, anyways, so to focus on purely personal story, what do I want to focus on about it? Well, there are a few things that I do want to focus on, such as one of them being disaster moments. What has been the most biggest disaster moments in my life that potentially other people are also going through, and what other people may be, having a hard time with. So, like, example, COVID, even though it was 6 years ago, it still potentially has had a lot of negative effects on people that still go through it up until this very day because of it, whether that's mental or physical health. Uh, Definitely for me, I would say it was pretty much both, very, very badly. So just to hurry up and kind of jump right in, I during COVID-19, I did not have the best of times. Of course, I was happy when I heard the news, because all I just knew was that I was getting a couple of weeks off from school. And I remember I was on the bus and I was telling my friend, like, this is going to be awesome because, we don't have to go to school. We can just chill out, play games, whatever. But then once we found out that it was pretty much going to be for the rest of the year, and whatever else, we were kind of shocked. And when we also heard the pretty much other uh, places were either shutting down, or other places were having a difficult time to figure out what to do, like, it was pretty insane actually. But yeah, but anyways, so COVID definitely had a big impact on me, uh especially once again more physically, because physically I became overweight. Over the years, I ended up gaining a lot of fat, and even after that, actually, as well. And so, pretty much from 20 to 23, actually, I pretty much weighed 225, and I'm 5'4". So obviously, for that height, 225, it's not ideal. Um, and so I became overweight. My mental was definitely in a very vulnerable spot, especially when I had some other personal issues going on around that time. If I'm not mistaken, it was around the beginning of the year where I had someone who I was with, but then ended up breaking up. And then that pretty much was kind of like the seal in the coffin of I'm going to be stuck looking and feeling like crap for a while. And so, and so I was pretty much just barely getting by through high school. And on top of that, I had a lot of like, I guess you could say like alone issues. Don't really know how to put it. So I So I really didn't have anyone around during high school. I never really had a best friend during those years, mainly because I was so very like enclosed to myself. I was never really social, and I would say COVID was definitely one of the main things that had stopped me from being social. Um, so I never really had a comfortable spot, I guess you could say, of just being or feeling like myself. Of course, I've had family, and family definitely like has helped, but that also doesn't mean that it was still the best time of my whole high school year. Granted, I never liked high school to begin with. I always hated high school with a passion. And so definitely school was not up my alley, nor is college. Um, but besides that, that was just one, I guess you could say, of like the big disaster moments that I've had uh, in my life. Another one would be friendship issues. I, once again, um, I had someone close to me at the beginning of high school, but lost them. Then after that, again, I didn't really have any friends. So really it's not friendship issues, it's more of no friends issues. No friend issues. So definitely having no friends uh and pretty much then just being alone was, I guess, the other big disaster moment that I had. Uh Again, I was pretty much alone throughout high school, and I uh just never really was social. I then ended up getting social anxiety of not wanting to socialize with people and not wanting to like do anything with people. Um, but besides that, I mean, that's really about it for disaster moments. Again, all those pretty much just were kind of like crammed into one, but uh, still do all link together in some type of way. But now, what were some pivot moments that I've had? Well, one of those being more towards the end, at least, of my high school year was prioritizing my health. Um, Definitely. So once I started to realize that I was overweight and I hated with how I looked, um, I then pretty much decided to start working out. And so I think it was at the I think it was more at the beginning of May of 2024, or April, I would say, where I decided to take my health seriously. Even before that, I had a couple of moments where I tried to get back into shape, but I just found it hard with dieting, but then also just staying consistent and just, not really just like living up to like what I wanted to with being fit. And so, but again, 2024 was definitely the year that I definitely wanted to say no, that I need to prioritize my health. Um, and also my mental too. I would say my mental sort of came along with physical, with my physical health, but then also I ended up getting a job. That was something else. Uh, Thankfully, one of my older brothers were able to was able. I am so sorry about that. Long story short, um, little malfunction there. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. Uh, I pretty much ended up having help from my older brother for me to get a job. But to kind of hurry this up, what ended up also happening was I had actually met someone at the end of the school year, and they pretty much then helped me to. They pretty much then helped me to move forward in my life, let's just say. And they basically brought me to Christianity. They brought me to uh, discovering like what it is. And my brothers were also already Christian as well. And so they also kind of like influenced me a bit, or at least not even influenced, but introduced me a bit. But I was always hard headed and not accepting it because I never believed in that. I guess you could say I was pretty much an atheist at that point, between 14 to 16, because I didn't really believe that there was anything out there. Um, Besides that, though, I mean, yeah, religion was definitely another uh, pivotal moment that I definitely had. But a lot of it ties back into like pretty much like my transformation. A lot of it does tie back into this one person on who I met, which is kind of funny enough to say, mainly because of course it's like, yeah, like oh, like that special person or whatever, but it is true. Uh, she definitely helped me during like a lot of like uh, what was it? A lot of like questions that I had or whatever, and on top of that, just was overall like a nice person to me. Um, but unfortunately, things can't last forever. And even with that, certain things ended up happening with her that, let's just say, I was too dumb to see. However, that does not mean I grew into who I was becoming and still am becoming and still trying to figure out on who I am and what I want to do. Now, growth in the journey. What have I learned from that? And that I would say is definitely a lot, really. Um, Again, personal and spiritual growth have definitely like have kicked in, and I'm still growing, but definitely also spiritual in both ways, really. And I'm happy that I am, but of course, still looking back on the journey to see on how much like have gone through and that have shaped me has definitely like helped all through like the good and bad moments that I've had, definitely like shaped me out to uh be someone. um and yeah, and then also uh social growth, definitely being trying to be social, definitely a little bit more social than who I was during COVID and all that. Try to be more social, try to talk to more people, um go more outdoors and do all that fun stuff that I should have been doing a long time ago, but didn't, unfortunately. Um, and then just figuring out who I am, defining my values, defining on what I want in my life, who I don't need in my life, and as an overall, once again, just trying to figure out who I want to be. And so, once again, hopefully, someone probably in this video can relate to probably one of these issues or relate to even just being stuck. And so, a small little message that I have is that you are never stuck, and you just got to keep pushing forward. And even like when it feels impossible, it there's always a way. And I pretty much found that out um, through a lot of hard lessons, 1,000%, but nothing new. But yeah, so that's a little bit of information, I guess. Not even a little bit. I mean, uh, it's probably going to take almost like close to like a 20-minute video. But once again, hopefully, someone out there was able to relate, someone was able to understand my situations or one of these situations. And again, enjoyed the video. And yeah. But, anyways, so this is my first video, anyways. I'm mainly going to be uploading on Fridays rather than Wednesdays. Um, only because the here, only because it best fits my schedule. Uh, but once again, this is just one of the topics that I wanted to be on. 1,000% gonna get more into it later on. However, with my next video idea that I have no clue, that is still up in the air. This one I thankfully had planned out, but we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe I might not do this again, but you guys will have to let me know. I'm gonna try to be consistent. Suck at consistency, as I already told you guys. But I know that was also kind of jam packed, and that I probably didn't get too much information, but also not too less. Hopefully, for someone to understand what I was trying to say. But yeah, so make sure to let me know what you thought. And yeah, so thank you for listening. I know my voice is annoying, but yeah, so I hope you enjoyed.